Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. You are watching the Pedroza channel. Hope you enjoyed that intro music. Today, the music is a little bit different. Today, we are going to be talking about a very auspicious day. Today is a month that I don't think I've heard a lot about in the news today, and I just wanted to talk about it. So today, for many Christians around the world, it's Easter, also known as Pascua or maybe Resurrection Day. But this month is actually a very special month. Today, this in April, we are going to be celebrating 9 different religions. So if you are Muslim, Christian, Jew, Buddhist, Jain, Sikh, Bahá'í, or Hindu, you are celebrating a holy month. This is a month that only happens once every 27 years, and I just wanted to go ahead and celebrate that. I'm looking at the channel. Hopefully the channel is working today. I see it coming up over there. And thank you for coming in, everybody. I see Sea Leg Journeys here today. I see Steve and Tina. And our moderator today is going to be Eddie Lugo Studios. Thank you, Eddie Lugo Studios, for being in the house today. You are live on the Pedroza Channel show. So, coming back to the topic today, the reason why I wanted to talk about this topic about April being a holy month is I like to travel a lot to different countries. And I've been noticing in different videos that I've been watching, there's lots of different celebrations going on. And I love traveling by looking at the different celebrations that are around the world. And I've been watching different videos. In particular, one that I found particularly interesting was Ramadan is being celebrated this month. And so I thought it would be interesting to look at the different religions around the world, and it's kind of a different way to travel along the world. And I hope you enjoy this this kind of travel that we travel around the world, looking at different religions, because today is a very holy day, and I wanted to share that with everybody else today and looking at that. So, coming into the video today, I wanted to first talk about Ramadan. I've been noticing a lot of, let's see if I can do this right. I'm still learning how to share different screens there. No, that didn't work. So Ramadan is an interesting phenomenon. It is part of the Muslim religion, and it comes in, and it's an annual observance of Ramadan is regarded as one of the 5 pillars of Islam, and lasts 29 days to 30 days, and is from one sighting of the crescent moon to the next, which is why when you look at the different symbols, you'll notice the crescent moon is one of the symbols of Islam, so that's an interesting phenomenon there. One of the interesting phenomenons of Ramadan is the idea of the fast to me, and I find that very interesting. So during this time of, hello PSV Odyssey, nice to have you in the house. Welcome into the show. We're talking about religious festivals in April. April is a special month. April 2023 is the only time in every 27 years, 9 different religions celebrate a religious day in April. And I see my aunt over from the East Coast there. Hello, Aunt Angie from the East Coast. Thank you for coming in. We're here on the PedrozaTravel show, and we are talking about the religious festivals in April and how once every 27 years, which is happening right now in April 2023, 9 different religions celebrate a religious festival within April. And the first one that we're talking about today is Ramadan. And what I was saying there is in Ramadan, one of the things that's interesting, and I've seen lots of videos in this, I'm hoping, by the way, I'm not an expert in any of these religions. So when I'm talking about these different religions, I don't consider myself an expert in any of these religions. I consider myself a Christian, but I do enjoy exploring different religions and seeing how those different religions work. And so that's why I wanted to talk about this topic. And so one of the things that's interesting to me in Ramadan is the idea of fasting. In my religion, we fast once a month, but in Ramadan, they fast for the entire 29 or 30 days of Ramadan. And what's interesting is they do it from dawn until sunset. And what I learned is it's called the Fard, which is translated to mean obligatory. And it's for all adult Muslims who are not acutely ill, traveling, elderly, breastfeeding, diabetic, or menstruating. And what they do is, since they can't eat or drink any water during the daytime, is they have a pre-fast meal that they call the suhoor, and then at night they have another one where they break the fast, and it's called the iftar. Although what's interesting to me also is I found out that if you live in a place that doesn't have a standard time zone, like for example, if you live in Antarctica or if you're living at the North Pole, then what you have to do is you have to follow the daylight time of Mecca, which is the holy city. This particular picture here is the Hagia Sophia. It's in Istanbul. I've been to the Hagia Sophia. The Hagia Sophia is a very interesting building. It started out as one of the first Christian churches, and now it's a mosque in Istanbul, Turkey. So I found that one to be very interesting. The next religious festival that I want to talk about already happened. Forgive me as I'm talking about these if I get them pronounced wrong, because I don't know all the pronunciations. But the next religious holiday that's happening in April already happened. It was called Mahavir Jayanti Day, and it happened on April 4th of this year. And Mahavir Jayanti is one of the most auspicious festivals for the Jain community. It marks the birth of the anniversary of the 24th and last Tirthankara, or also known as enlightened leader of the Jain religion. Jainism places a great emphasis on achieving world peace and harmony in a manner that causes little to no harm in living beings. According to what I read and studied on this, the Lord Mahavir dedicated his life to teaching non-violence, truth, non-stealing, chastity, and non-attachment. He preached that all living beings have a soul and therefore should be treated with love, compassion, and respect. He also stressed the importance of living a simple and peaceful virtual life. And that's the one thing that I think that's interesting about all religions around the world, is that there is this idea of community around the world that I think, even though religions can be different, there is something of truth in all religions. And I think that's very important. As travelers, we need to be conscious of those religions around the world and look at those things. Would like to welcome Boardsack S Vlogs Gaming Official. Thank you for coming on the channel today. This is the Pedroza channel. We are talking about religions around the world and how in April 2023 we are experiencing a phenomenon that's only going to happen once every 27 years. So I thought that was very special, and that this month, April 2023, 9 different religions are celebrating a festival within April. And so the next one that I wanted to talk about is kind of related to, we do celebrate it in Christianity as well, but maybe not to the same extent, and that is of the Passover. So from April 5th to April 13th, the Passover, also known as Pesach, is a major Jewish holiday during the month of Nisan on the Hebrew calendar, usually falling in March or April. The holiday is observed with seders, which are like meals, among families, friends, and communities, as well as sacred traditions. Passover is one of the most widely celebrated of Jewish holidays. It commemorates the Israelites' exodus from Egypt as told in the Bible. One of the things that I think is interesting about the Passover is that on the first 2 nights of Passover, the Jews have been commanded to have a special meal, which is kind of a ritual meal. And what they do is, it's called the Seder, and that word is from a Hebrew word that means cedar. It is the same root from which we derive Seder, the prayer book. So when you're talking about the Bible, you're also talking about cedar. So that's kind of interesting. And then, of course, the cedar is no ordinary holiday meal. There are a specific set of tasks that must be completed and information that must be covered in a specific order. To correctly follow that process, there's a special text of the Passover, and that's written in the Haggadah. And so I just think that's very interesting. And so that happens for a whole month. And Passover is important to Christians as well, because with the Passover, it coincides with the traditional Easter. So if you are on a traditional Easter schedule, like today is Easter, you're in a way also celebrating the Passover. And the Passover is a memorial of when God's chosen people, at the time they were Jewish, they had fled from Egypt and were led into the Holy Land. And so it starts back with Joseph. And if you saw if you've seen the show Joseph and the Technicolor Coat, he escapes from Egypt, and then eventually is Moses and Aaron leading his people into the Promised Land. So that's what it is. It's a special holiday to celebrate the Exodus and the arrival of the Jewish people into the Holy Land. So it's a very interesting holiday. I think all these holidays are interesting, and as we learn about these holidays, we can learn more about ourselves, which I think is great. So the next one I wanted to talk about is called the Theravada New Year. The Theravada New Year was celebrated on April 6th and is a Buddhist religion and has been around for thousands of years. It has many traditions and beliefs within it, but they fall under two major categories: the Mahayana and the Theravada Buddhism. So there's different types of Buddhist religions, and that's typical within religions, is that you'll find that different religions have different sects within them, and I think that's fascinating as well. I see a lot of hellos going on out there. So Theravada means the teaching of the elders, and this particular form of Buddhism is prevalent in Southeast Asian countries such as Burma, Cambodia, Laos, Thailand, and Sri Lanka. It is also practiced in minority groups in China, Bangladesh, Malaysia, Nepal, and Vietnam. Its teachings encourage knowledge, discipline, and critical reasoning through deep reflection. A number of traditions come from this canon and is one of the oldest sects within the Buddhist religion. And I find the Buddhist religion very interesting. When I was in Japan, I first discovered the Buddhist religion, and the Theravada New Year's is celebrated in the mid to late spring. So a lot of these religions, what you'll find is they move from one season to the next because they're all based on lunar calendars, not solar calendars. So the calendar that we use today is called the Gregorian calendar in the modern world. And one thing that's interesting about the Gregorian calendar is the Gregorian calendar was established in the year 1582, and then it was actually modified again by Great Britain in the 1700s. And of course, all those calendars come from the Julian calendar. And we'll talk about the Julian calendar versus the Gregorian calendar a little bit later when we talk more about traditional versus Orthodox Easter. And hello, Steve and Tina Jewel. Steve and Tina Jewel in the house. Welcome to the show today. We're talking about religious festivals within April. April 2023 is a very interesting month for religions because there's 9 different religions that happen within this month, and this only happens once every 27 years. We'll see how this goes today. I think this might be a short one, but before, what I'd like to do is anyone who'd like to, please type in !drop link to share your channel. If you'd like to do that, I do encourage everyone to say hello in the channel, and that I'd like to say hello to Food Forest Permaculture. Welcome to the show, Food Forest Permaculture. We're talking about religious events in April 2023. We are in a rare time right now, which there are 9 different religions celebrating a religious event within April. So it's kind of an interesting month to be in. It's something that only happens once every 27 years. So I thought that was very special. And I also like the idea, like I said, to travel within cultures, because when you travel to another country, a lot of that is going to be religious culture, unless I know a lot of people here on the live today are cruise people, and maybe you don't get too much into religion. But one of the things I like to do a lot when I go on cruises is I'll go on land and I'll check out the different churches. So I think that's important to do as well. Thank you. Appreciate it. Um, and again, put out your link out there. And thank you, Eddie, for being our moderator today. We always appreciate moderators. If you want to be a moderator on this show, please let me know. You can send me a message or send me an email. And I'm looking for moderators on this show. Most of the time, we're talking about a specific destination or topic. But today, I wanted to change it up a little bit because it is Easter and have more of a religious tone and celebrate all the different religions that are out there. I just find them all fascinating, and how you can see so many different things and so many truths within those different religions. So going back to the Theravada New Year and Buddhism, one of the things that's interesting about this festival is the prominence of water. In the Buddhist religion, water means purity, and so they celebrate this by pouring water on statues, pouring water on people, and water is symbolically used to wash away sins, clean homes, statues, and temples to start the new year, because it's the new year to them. And and you'll see this a lot in countries like Thailand and Myanmar, and people will flock to the cities and they'll have big street parties, traditional songs, colorful floats, all dedicated to renewal because it's their new year. And welcome in, Fearless Rambler, to our show today. We are talking about all the religions that are happening today on April 2023. And then, for me, the big one is happening today. Today, April 9th, is also known as Easter. Now, Easter is an interesting phenomenon, I should say, for day on religion. So if you are celebrating modern Easter is today, April 9th. But if you are an Orthodox Christian coming from one of the Orthodox religions, you celebrate Easter on April 16th. So, there you go. Looks like you got it this time. You need to make sure that you put an exclamation mark in front of it. It's exclamation mark drop link. Will drop your link into the channel and it'll share you out. Please, by all means, share out your channel. Thank you for coming, everyone, today. And I hope you're enjoying and finding this interesting as we talk about different religions that are celebrating religious festivals here in April 2023. And so Easter is an interesting one. Also because Easter has a lot of different names to it. Easter is also known as Pascha, also known as Resurrection Sunday. And it is a Christian festival that commemorates commemorates the resurrection of Jesus from the dead, as described in the New Testament in the Bible. And according to tradition, Jesus Christ rose on the 3rd day of his burial following the crucifixion of the Romans in the year 30 AD. It is the culmination of the Passion of Jesus Christ, which is a 40-day period that starts with Lent and involves fasting, prayer, and penance. The week before Easter, we call that Holy Week. And in Western Christianity begins normally on Palm Sunday, which was last Sunday, which marks Jesus' triumphal entry into Jerusalem on a donkey, followed by things like Spy Wednesday, which was when Jesus Christ was betrayed by Judas, and then Good Friday, and then, of course, Sunday, which is today. And it's been a great Sunday for me today. And I see that we have some more people come in today. Thank you, Mama Four Boys in the house. Nice to see you here on the Pedroza channel. We're talking about April 2023 and how there are 9 different religions celebrating a religious festival in April, which I find very interesting. So Easter to me is my favorite holiday. I enjoy it a lot. One, because it's a beautiful time of the year. It's finally sunny again here in California, which is amazing, but mostly because of Jesus Christ and how he was able to save us. If you're a Christian, it's a very important religious holiday, but all religion holidays are too. For me, it's interesting. Like, I also celebrate Christmas, but I don't know if Jesus Christ was actually born on Christmas. I don't think he was. I think Jesus Christ was born sometime in the spring, but that's my personal belief, by the way. It's not how it goes. But going back to Easter as a holy day and studying it is interesting. Like I said, the Orthodox will celebrate this holiday on April 16th, which is also a Sunday, and that's because they go with what's called the Julian calendar. Now, in Christianity, there was a big split back in the 300s. It was like 332 was the Council of Nicaea, and there was a big split on how things were going to be run. And in particular, Easter was one of those topics that happened and was a split between the modern church, Christian churches, and the Orthodox churches. And the reason being is because in the Bible, even though Easter is my favorite holiday, there is no mention of Easter in the Bible, not even after Jesus Christ died. Now, in the Bible, if you read the Bible, you'll know that there's the sacrament, and that was the big division between the Jewish people and the Christian people. And the big division there was what day to celebrate. The Jews are still waiting for their Savior, and Christians believe that their Savior has already come. Therefore, Jewish people celebrate their holy day on Saturday, which is the 7th day as prescribed in the Bible. And Christians, because we believe in Jesus Christ as being resurrected, it was a lot more than the Passover. It was because of the Passover as well. And because Jesus Christ was resurrected on the first day, we celebrate our sacrament on the first day. Now, Jesus Christ himself taught the sacrament, but Jesus Christ did not teach about Easter, nor did any of his disciples in the Bible. There is no mention of how to celebrate Jesus Christ's resurrection. Although historically, there were many texts talking about how early Christians would celebrate Jesus Christ's resurrection. Some of them would celebrate on the first day, but there was lots of different times that early Christians celebrated Jesus Christ's birthday, and it was for different times. Some were celebrating a whole week, some were celebrating just a day, some were celebrating every other year, if you can believe that, in early Christianity. And so one of the things that was spoken about in the Council of Nicaea is how to properly celebrate Easter. Easter, the day, originally came from March 21st, which was the spring equinox, and was a Roman pagan holiday, but then it was used also as Resurrection Day when the Romans converted over to Christianity, which is also why Italy today is the seat of the Roman Catholic Church, because the first Christians were from Italy. That's where Paul was for the most part. And I agree with you, Mama Four Boys. I think Jesus was probably born in the springtime, according to the Bible, because the shepherds were out. And the animals were out in the field, and that's what allowed Mary to come into the stable. If the stable, if the animals were not out in the stable, out of the stable, then Mary would not have been able to stay in the stable, because the shepherds were out in the fields with their flocks. Therefore, there was room in the stable for Mary, and that is why Jesus was born in a stable, was because I believe it was during the springtime. If it was during the wintertime, then the animals would have stayed in the stable, and there would have been no room at all for Mary. And I don't know what Mary would have done. She would probably stay home and not gone to Bethlehem. So there's so many things to discover about religion, and religion definitely changes. We're talking about rituals here that happened over 2,000 years ago, and so we're trying to do the best that we can today. Hello, Scrapping on the Fly. Thank you for coming in today. Even if it's a quick hello, we appreciate it. It's still pretty cold out there. Yes, it's not so bad in Israel, but it's still pretty cold, and they did need to have stables. But that's only my belief. Like I said, I'm not claiming that to be the gospel truth. We don't know. We're talking about an event that happened 2,000 years ago, and so it's really hard to speculate. It's fun to think about, though. So I enjoy thinking about what it must have been like back on the first Christmas when Jesus Christ was born, or even better yet, when, the sad events of the Holy Week, and then over time, what it must have been a joyous event to see the empty tomb. I would have loved to have been there. Okay, Fearless Rambler. Fearless Rambler says, my stopwatch is at 3 minutes. Okay. Well, I'm trying my best, George. Thank you so much. But watch out, because I see that Eddie Lugo's got you over there. Our mods are on the house today. Thank you for joining in this show. I know it's a kind of a different show today, as we talk about religious festivals in April. And so there is one more different religious festival that I want to talk about today. There's a question here. John, are you in Santa Barbara? No, I am not in Santa Barbara. I am in, but close, kind of close. Well, I'm, 4 hours away? I'm in Riverside, California. I've lived, though, in Santa Barbara. I went to UC Santa Barbara for a year. Actually, technically, I was living in Goleta at the time. So technically, I lived in Goleta because I couldn't afford to live in Santa Barbara. I could only afford to live in Goleta while I was going to UC Santa Barbara. But now I live in Riverside, California is where I live. So I'm on the West Coast in Riverside, California. But if you're from Santa Barbara, that's a beautiful place to be. So welcome from Santa Barbara. And thank you, Fearless, for bringing over your people here. I appreciate it. Fearless Rambler had a fun video just premiered yesterday about Snoopy and Knott's Berry Farm. If you've not been to Knott's Berry Farm is a great place to be. And then Steve and Tina say, I lived there for 2 years. That's about how long I was there in Santa Barbara, was for 2 years. I lived there for 2 years. And so, yeah, that was something that came over from Sea Leg Journeys channel, the 3-minute rule. But if you haven't done so already, please thumbs up. I will say we are 30 minutes into this show, and I would love it if you would thumbs up this show today. It is a great way to say thank you to any video creator. That's what we work for. We work for the comments and the thumbs up. 11 is great. I love 11 thumbs up. I'll take as many as I can. I'm assuming Mama Four Boys is saying, I have never been there. I'm guessing you've never been to, have you never been to Santa Barbara or never been to Knott's Berry Farm? And thank you for the 11 that I have. I'll always take one more. Every video creator ever said that. There's always room for one more. And if you've ever been to Disneyland, you know that reference. There's always room for one more. That's what they say at the Haunted Mansion at Disneyland. Also in Disney World, they say that as well. And And yes, I wish religion was the same as the olden days. Now it seems like most churches are just to organize for into organization instead of the church congregation. And unfortunately, I think I have to agree. I personally believe in organized religion. I belong to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and I do believe in organized religion. But it's very interesting. Sometimes you have to. Sorry, my phone was going off there for a second. You have you. I think a lot of churches today they do. They have to take care of the congregation. The people are the church, and that's something that I believe that in all religions, the people are the church. If there's no people, there's no church. And so that's something that I think all congregations constantly need to be aware of and see how they can serve the people. And Scrappy on the Fly said, never been to California, have a cousin in San Francisco. Well, it seems like to me that's a great way to reason to visit California. Go visit your cousin in San Francisco. Maybe they'll let them stay with you. There are so many people in there's so many things to do in San Francisco, so I hope you get to go out there one day. I personally love California. I know a lot of people don't like California, but I'm a Californian and I love California. I don't know if I'll live here in California forever, but it's a great place to live as long as you can afford it. That's the only downside to California. California can be expensive. And Mama Four Boy says either came to California once and only went for real estate convention and hardly leave the hotel. Oh, that's just sad. That's just sad. There's so much to see in California. If you only got to see the real estate convention, you missed out on so many things. And then Eddie Lugo Studios here is saying exclamation drop link. Yes, if you type in exclamation drop link, that will share your channel out to everyone here in the channel. And I think this is especially important. I believe in good and evil. And I think there are truths in every religion. So I like to study all religions, and I think that's important that we study all religions and learn about how we can get along with our fellow men. Because I also believe that we are all brothers and sisters. I have a belief that we all came from Adam and Eve, and we all came from God. And so therefore, we are all brothers and sisters, and so we need to get along. And it says, love California, don't want to live there. That's okay. I always tell people, if you don't love California, please leave and take a friend with you. And yes, we have too many cars. Although I have heard that our traffic nightmare is spreading to other states as well. I think it was Sea Lake Journeys who was talking about the traffic it was their live stream from Saturday, and they were like 2 minutes late because the I-4 was backed up. And so that has to be kind of hard. And then Mama Four Boy says, my brother lives in California, El Cajon. Oh, El Cajon's not very far from here. El Cajon is only about an hour away from where I live. I'm very familiar with El Cajon. That is very close to where I live. And then the Seventh Day Adventist Church is an interesting church as well, because on the Seventh Day Adventist Church, like I said, they celebrate their religious day on Saturday, which according to the Bible, the religious day, God rested on the seventh day, so that is the holy day. And then Christians changed it because of the birth and resurrection, I should say more the resurrection of Jesus Christ. And the resurrection of Jesus Christ changed it to the first day, which is Sunday. So that is a very interesting phenomenon in the Seventh-day Adventists. Technically, the Seventh-day Adventists are not wrong in celebrating on Saturday, which is the Sabbath day. And then Fearless Rambler says, if you leave in California, please stay, LOL. That's okay. You can take a few of my fellow residents with you. We got like 60 million of us here. You can take a few extras, right? Right? You're up in Utah, I think, if I remember right. And then, yes, the I-4 is a tourist swamp these days. Um, I don't know, Eddie. All of his videos lately have been from California. I think he's trying to move back to California. I think he's gonna move to Buena Park. The last like three videos were around the Buena Park area there, so I think that might be what he's doing. I think he might be coming back to the Buena Park. Um, no, I am not a Jehovah Witness. I belong to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and so otherwise known as the Mormons. We don't really like the name the Mormons. That was kind of a nickname given to us, but we do use the Book of Mormon. And but the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is different than the Jehovah Witnesses. But I think the Jehovah Witnesses are fine too. The interesting thing about the Jehovah Witnesses and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is we're both missionary churches, so we often do get confused. It's not uncommon for both us and the Jehovah Witnesses to be mistaken for each other because we both wear white shirts and ties. The only difference, I think, here, I'll show you. I have my old missionary tag, is because I was a missionary, and the only difference is we have missionary tags. Yes, so yeah, typically we're known as the Mormons, but like I said, don't call a Mormon a Mormon. We're not going to yell at you if you do, but that's not considered the correct name. The correct name is the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Um, Calling a Mormon, by the way, is kind of like an insult because it reckons back to our days when people used to try to kill us. So that's not the best way to do it. And and I think it's great that everybody gets to learn about every church. Um, I saw a comment up here. I'm trying to get back to it here. I think it was you, Sea Lake Journeys, that said that the I-4 was a nightmare. Isn't that what you were saying yesterday on Saturday? That the I-4 was backed up and that's why you were 2 minutes late because of the shopping or something like that. I thought that's what you said over there, Robin, but I could be wrong on that. Um, and Eddie Lugo, you're up north now. You're like up in aren't you New Jersey now? You're up further. You're cold. I love New York, by the way, but it's too cold. Brooklyn's a little bit too cold for me. Um, Born and lived in California, but won't go back to live. Okay. Well, you can always come back to visit. That's okay. I understand. Lots of people like to hate on California. It's okay with me. Yes, we do celebrate all the holidays, and like I said, even though I don't believe Christmas was on Christmas, like I don't believe Jesus Christ was born on Christmas, we still celebrate Christmas. And I'm not even sure if Easter was the day that Jesus Christ resurrected, only because I think Easter is more accurate than Christmas, but just because the calendar has changed so many times since Jesus Christ was here that I don't know if all the days that we celebrate are the same. It's okay. Like I said, I'm a missionary, so I've been a missionary. I plan to be a missionary before. I'm just warning you so that in your next encounter with somebody from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, um, you don't do it. I mean, that's the thing about religion too. I think that's important. People take religion seriously. Some people take it very seriously. Some take it lighter, and so there's all sorts of, I guess you could call it orthodoxy within different churches. I know some people in my church who take things very seriously, and they wouldn't even be on the internet right now. There are people in my church that don't believe on being on the internet on Sunday. I obviously am okay with being on the internet on Sunday. I know some people who don't travel on Sundays. I travel on Sundays. So it just depends on where you're at and what your particular beliefs are, and I don't blame anybody for them. Um, Says, we have a very good friend in Santa Barbara and look forward to visit. You should. I love Santa Barbara. Santa Barbara is a great place to visit. Yes, yes. You have a 1 in 365 chance of getting the date right. That's how I feel with most things in life. I have a 1 in 3. I'm going to use that. Next time I have a deadline at work, I'm going to say, well, I had a 1 in 365 chance of getting that right, boss. That's what I'm going to say tomorrow at work, because I'm going to say that. I'm going to totally use that in the future. I was 1 in 365 days off on that deadline, boss. I can see that happening. I do have one more religion that I wanted to talk about today. Got caught up a little bit on Easter, but I love Easter. And so the next holiday that's going to come up on this calendar is called Vaisakhi. And Vaisakhi, also known as Rivdan of the Most Great Festival, is going to happen on April 14th and the 21st. Rivdan is a Persian holiday by the Baha'i faith. The Baha'i faith is kind of like a sect of Islam, and it begins on the sunset of the 13th month of Jalal. They have their own calendar, which is usually the 20th or the 21st of April, depending on the date of the March equinox. And Rivdan means paradise and is named for the Garden of Rivdan. The picture that I put up here is called the Garden of Rivdan, and it's outside of Baghdad in Iraq. And this is where their prophet stayed for 12 days after the Ottoman Empire was exiled from the city and before commencing the journey to Constantinople, which is today modern Turkey. So when you talk about Constantinople, that is modern day Turkey. So we kind of went a full circle in this, and we went from going from Turkey, away from Turkey, and back to Turkey again. So I find that interesting. And so those are, yes, Istanbul is the city. So Istanbul and Constantinople are the same cities. And thank you very much, and happy Easter. Mostly I wanted to talk about this today and talk about Easter and wish everybody a happy Easter. This is definitely my favorite holiday. I really enjoyed studying about all these different religions, and I'm surprised that there wasn't more news media coverage on it, because it's something, like I said, it only happens once every 27 years. So you can say that you were part of something very auspicious that only happens once every 27 years, which I think is amazing. I hope everyone enjoyed this live broadcast. It was very interesting to say, yes, happy Easter to you, Stephen, Tina, Jewel. I think this will probably be a little bit shorter on the podcast, on the live. I keep on calling it a podcast. I did a podcast one time before, but I didn't get too many viewers, listeners on the podcast. And so now I guess the more modern term these days is live streams. But it's been interesting talking about different religions with you and sharing what I studied today. Hope you have a great Sunday. I hope that you, whatever religion you are, whatever your beliefs are, that you are able to enjoy, and most of all, enjoy time with your friends and family. And so I think I'm going to wrap this up early today. Thank you for, oh, wait, I can't wrap it up early. I got one more thing I got to say. So next week on the show, we are going to have a guest again on the show. Next week on the show, we are going to, please come to the show next week, next Sunday at 4. We are going to have Betty J. Betty J. Gathers on the show, and we're going to talk about making your dreams come true and keeping a positive outlook on life. So make sure that you come to the show next week, as we have a guest host on the show, Betty J. Gathers. You won't want to miss it. She is a great person. She has great stories. She's kind of a live stream queen, and we will see you on the next one. Thank you for coming.